The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher on a Finally Friday.
Breaking news overnight. 2 people are dead after an early morning fire in Oildale. The deadly fire broke out at a home on Minetta Avenue near North Chester just after 12:30 this morning. City and county fire crews responded to the blaze and say the flames were intense.
Coming out of every window and door. Near that structure is 3 other structures that were also being impacted by the fire and heat.
Crews say they were able to get the fire under control and prevent it from spreading to other buildings.
And we're able to get everybody out of those structures. Unfortunately, the main structure did have, at this point, 2 people that had deceased.
The fire also damaged power lines at the home. A cause of the blaze was not immediately known. Arson investigators continue to determine the cause.
Making headlines around the state, lawmakers yesterday approved an emergency bill that would shield some renters from getting kicked out of their homes. Lawmakers in the state Senate gave final legislative approval for an extension to the state's COVID-19 related ban on evictions now through July 1st. This time, the protections remain in place only for those who've applied for state rental assistance by midnight Thursday.
It would be cruel, wasteful, and unfair to subject Californians to eviction, the loss of rental income now, when they've done everything asked of them by filing and completing their application.
This comes after renters demanded action as the state continues to process relief applications. According to the state's COVID-19 rent relief dashboard, the state has so far served less than half of the more than 500,000 applications submitted. As of Thursday, the state had paid out more than $2.5 billion, with payments averaging about $11,000 per recipient. Acting Governor Eleni Kounalakis stepped in to sign the bill for Governor Gavin Newsom, who's on vacation. By signing the bill, she became the first woman to enact state law in California.
California will not require parents to tell schools if they own guns. This comes after a bill failed to pass in the state legislature. The bill would have required parents or guardians with a student in a public or charter school to annually disclose if they have any firearms at home. It failed in its first committee vote yesterday, or on Wednesday, after facing opposition from the NRA and the American Civil Liberties Union. Supporters of the bill say it could help prevent mass shootings, but only 2 of 7 members of the panel voted for it.
4 suspects are behind bars in connection with a string of armed robberies that ended with a shootout in Tulare County. 24-year-old Augustine Chavez and 18-year-old Ishmael Cervantes, along with 2 teenagers, are accused of robbing employees of their personal belongings at 5 different dairies Wednesday night. Several Valley agencies came together to stop them after a pursuit that ended in a field on Avenue 80. That's when the suspects started firing at deputies.
As deputies are approaching the disabled vehicle, they begin receiving gunfire from the suspects. One of our deputies actually received a bullet hole through his shirt in his sleeve. Fortunately, he was not injured.
The suspects eventually surrendered and were taken into custody without any injuries on either side of the shootout.
At least 3 people were hurt in explosions at a metal recycling facility in San Bernardino County yesterday morning. Several explosions were reported in Montclair shortly after 9 o'clock. It happened at a metal recycling yard that deals with pressurized propane tanks. Fire officials arrived to find a large collection of compressed gas cylinders at the site. Debris was found several hundred feet from the recycling facility. At least 1 cylinder landed on a nearby home. Nearby streets were cluttered with cylinders and debris. At least 1 car was damaged. The cause of the incident is still under investigation.
5:06 now, and the war in Ukraine has pushed gas prices to record highs.
President Biden announcing a plan to bring some much needed relief to Americans. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington to explain.
Good morning, Alex, Maddie. President Biden will tap into the nation's oil reserve, releasing up to 1 million barrels a day, the largest release in U.S. history. The war in Ukraine entering a new month. Airstrikes continue near Kyiv despite Russia's pledge to pull back from the region.
By producing more oil.
Here at home, President Biden making an historic move to combat record high gas prices caused by what he calls Putin's war.
The bottom line is if we want lower gas prices, we need to have a more oil supply right now.
The administration will tap into the nation's strategic petroleum reserve, releasing 180 million barrels over the next 6 months. Republicans argue the plan delivers little relief.
Spro being opened up for 1 million barrels is drop in the bucket.
President Biden insisting the move could lower gas prices by 10 to 35 cents.
Our effort today is to try to soften the blow on American consumers.
Russian President Vladimir Putin telling European countries who rely on Russian oil more than the U.S. that they must pay in rubles or risk being cut off. Sanctions continue to cripple Russia's economy, and its military forces are suffering major setbacks.
He miscalculated that his forces would be able to enter Ukraine without facing stiff resistance from the Ukrainian people.
Ukraine's president pleading for more tanks and military equipment from the U.S. to help defend his country. President Biden vowing to provide assistance overseas and calling on U.S. energy producers to do more to help Americans battle high prices at the pump. Later this morning, President Biden will speak about the economy following the release of the March jobs report. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for 17 News.
Also making news around the nation, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware is looking into Hunter Biden's business activities in foreign countries. Investigators have examined whether Biden or his associates may have violated tax, money laundering, or lobbying laws. Hunter Biden revealed he was under investigation after the 2020 election. No charges have been brought in the probe, and President Biden reportedly at this point is not part of the investigation.
An investigation is underway at Kern Valley State Prison after an inmate was found unresponsive in his cell. Prison officials say they were conducting a security check on Wednesday evening when they found 26-year-old Juan Mendoza unresponsive with visible injuries. Juan Mendoza was found in his cell that he shared with Jorge Mendoza. It is unknown what the relationship, if any, could be between the two. Medical staff attempted life-saving measures, but Juan Mendoza later died. Jorge Mendoza was removed from the cell and has been rehoused at the institution's administrative segregation unit, pending the outcome of the investigation.
And now to pedestrian safety. The coroner's office releasing the name of a man who was hit and killed northeast of Lamont. It happened back on March 22nd, just after 11:30 p.m. on South Edison Road near East Panama Lane. California Highway Patrol says 36-year-old Arnulfo Martinez Garcia was hit by a vehicle and died. According to our count, this is Kern County's 10th pedestrian fatality this year.
The newly constituted Measure N Citizens Oversight Committee met for the first time yesterday in the City Council chambers. This panel makes annual recommendations on how the city spends tax dollars from public safety and vital services. The city's 1-cent sales tax measure passed in 2018. The 8 new members were appointed back on February 2nd and will serve for the next 3 years in an advisory capacity.
5:34 is your time. Education news now. Dozens of students had a blast yesterday at Edwards Air Force Base. But in this STEM program, it's not just the rockets that are poised for liftoff. 17's Chris Burton joins us in studio with more. Chris?
Well, Maddie, it's perhaps fitting that on the last day of Women's History Month, 4 teams of young women sent rockets to new heights. These young women, some of whom didn't know what engineering was a year ago, are now on the verge of heading to Washington for the largest rocketry competition in the world.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The countdown was seconds long, but the anticipation had been building for months. For the girls of the Mighty and STEM Sisters, also known as MISS, Thursday was the day they'd been waiting for.
We had to rebuild it a few times, so it's been like 3 months, 4.
Yeah, we've done this for a long time. We've been doing this for a while.
The MISS program was founded last summer by Starbase Edwards director Amira Flores. It's aimed at getting girls and young women at Jumpstart in science and tech fields where they see less opportunity.
This program was launched based on the disparity and needs of the community. Looking at Kern County, women are very underrepresented in STEM.
Because the program is so new, Thursday's competition launch was the first event of its kind for Miss, and it was a big one. Shoot their rocket high enough and ensure the Egg astronaut payload didn't scramble along the way, and each of the 4 teams would have a chance at representing the Kern-Edwards region in the All-American Rocketry Challenge in Washington. There were nerves.
So we don't talk about what happened to our first rocket.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
It kind of got acrobatic on us.
Yeah, it went.
But most teams liked their chances.
Confident.
Excited.
Really excited. No.
Yes.
For Flores, it was a competition, but also a chance for women to lift each other up higher than any rocket could.
It's about one team seeing another team's failure, and this just happened, and said, you know what, I will help you, even though it's a competition.
Well, Flores says it'll be days before they know which teams, if any, qualified for Washington, but I gotta say, I think every team is a winner here.
Oh, fingers crossed. That would be such an incredible opportunity.
Amazing. Yeah. And there are certain criteria that you have to, you're not judged based on what you meet, it's judged based on against everybody else. So, you know, depending how the field did, it's possible.
It's really great, though, that there is this push to get women involved in STEM. You know, there's, I think there's been a push lately to bring STEM kind of into our local students' realm, but it's great to see that there's a push to get them into, especially with our local women.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard Flores mention it there. Yeah. Like, women are underrepresented in STEM, especially in Kern County. So programs like this, just so great.
We need those girls and their ideas. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yep.
5:37 is our time now, and a generous donation was dropped off at yesterday at shelters housing women and teenagers. The Bakersfield Alliance Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault and the Mission at Kern County received more than 100 kits from local Bank of America employees. Victims of domestic violence often must flee their homes with little or nothing, forcing them to live without basic necessities like undergarments and hygiene products. In fact, the most needed items in Central Valley's domestic violence shelters are basic necessities, such as tampons and sanitary pads. Yet few people think to donate these essential products, forcing many shelter residents to improvise each month.
So the Alliance is funded through grant funds, which a lot of times doesn't cover things like this, things that mean a lot to individuals going through trauma, individuals that are not in their own home, they're residing in a shelter, and these little items will just make their everyday life a little bit easier. These are items that we sometimes can't always afford, and so when companies and businesses like Bank of America step up to provide them, it makes our women feel a little bit more at home, and it makes it easier for us to provide better services.
Since this donation drive began in 2020, the number of items donated by Bank of America employees has tripled from 7,500 kits to 23,000.
5:38 now. The 30th annual Shoes for Our Homeless shoe drive kicked off at Guarantee Shoe Center yesterday. The drive, benefiting men, women, and children at the Bakersfield Homeless Center, runs through April 10th. Over the past 30 years, the center says they've donated 91,000 pairs of shoes.
I can't believe how giving this community is. I read it in the paper, I see it on the news, they've done this, they've done that, and then when I do my humble shoe drive, the outpouring of their hearts. We have people just coming in, bringing bags, boxes. Oh, do you need a pair of shoes? No, we just wanted to give some shoes to the homeless. We want to be part of your campaign. We want to be part of something that's greater.
Usable shoes can be dropped off downtown at Guarantee Shoe Center at the corner of 21st and Chester Avenue, or here at our station KGET TV 17 at the corner of 22nd and L Streets.
Happening now, KGET is teaming up with CityServe and Dignity Health to collect Easter food baskets. We're collecting items for underprivileged families in our community to enjoy a traditional Easter dinner, including a 5-pound canned ham, instant potatoes, canned corn, and green beans, and other staple pantry items that are sometimes considered a luxury for those in need, like cereal and peanut butter and jelly. You can drop off your Easter food baskets anytime between now and April 14th here at our KGET lobby at the corner of 22nd and L Streets. And for the full list of food requests to fill your basket, just visit our website, kget.com.
Happening today, local students will be getting a look at the careers of the future and jobs that are available right now. This is a look from inside the brand new Career Technical Education Center in Southwest Bakersfield on Old River Road near Panama Lane, where the Kern County Career Expo and Symposium is taking place today. This is a mega event under one roof meant to help build career and STEM awareness for tomorrow's workforce. The Kern High School District, the Kern Economic Development Foundation, local educational organizations and businesses will host the student event from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 17's own Elena Rusk will also be there speaking with students, and students will showcase their best STEM projects, providing local industry partners a look at our school's exciting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics projects. Kern County ranks 4th in the nation for STEM jobs.
And we were just talking about those the paths that are available to so many people here in Kern County, and there is no one better. I think then I'm trying to think of Elena Rusk is such an advocate for STEM, and she is just super excited to be at this Career Expo and Symposium later today. So great to see that she's involved.
Yeah, and tune in at noon and hear a little more about her experience.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.